You're listening to Skipping Through Theatre, proudly partnered with Use TV. Hello and welcome back to Skipping Through Theatre, the podcast where we celebrate the magical performance from the unforgettable musicals and the powerful plays to the TV shows we can't stop talking about, and the behind-the-scenes stories that bring it all to life. It's about the laughter, the drama, and the moments that stay with us long after the curtain falls. So settle in and let's dive into today's episode. Hello everyone!
And welcome back to Skipping Through Theatre,
the podcast where we skip through everything themed theatre, past, present and everything in between.
And today we are so excited because we are joined by a very special guest from the West End.
They're currently in the ensemble and second cover book in Wicked. Please welcome Jojo Meredith.
Hello. How are you guys doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Lovely.
Let's start from the beginning. What first got you into theatre?
I first got into theatre. Well, listen, I was born and raised in Japan, and I think I was surrounded by theatre and music and all sorts of things, but I always thought of it as a hobby. But then I quit everything when I was 10 to then pursue tennis, and I pursued that in 2 years, and I had to go to England because of several reasons, and I had to follow, my parents' footsteps, and I still continued with tennis for a few years, 3, 4 years. And when it came to 16, I had to give up tennis because I was just losing a lot. Even though I was played well. I was number 3 in Oxfordshire. I was really good. I had to give up for a lot of reasons. And once I made that choice and actually say, "Oh, I want to sort of give up these things," I met this music teacher. Now, in context, whilst I was staying for 4 years in that school, music teachers got changed 5 times. So this was a sixth music teacher, and he was the one to really inspire me. He was a really good jazz musician, and he sang opera, and he was very knowledgeable on musical theatre. And he was the one that really inspired me to learn his craft. And then he was the one that was like, you can actually sing. And I was like, well, really? And he was like, well, you got this, talent for it. I will teach you. And, he taught me, a lot of things in musical theatre, and he got me into Christmas concert. And then I sang at this Christmas concert, and it was the first time that I got a lot of compliments from people. And it was the first time that I was like, oh, wow, I'm really inspiring people. And I never done that at tennis, and I thought, this would be really cool. And then since then, I just, didn't stop from performing. I just kept on going with that, really. So, yeah.
Was there a moment where you thought, this is what I want to do professionally?
Honestly, I think because I joined this musical theatre club afterwards, and then as you do, you want to really be invested as to, what kind of musical theatre stuff's out there. And I used to be really obsessed with, Bonnie and Clyde, cast recording with Jeremy Jordan and Laura Osnes. I was obsessed with his voice. But then the clip that made me want to go professionally was Rami and Karimlu's Till I Hear You Sing music video. And I remember how I just saw that video and it made me cry. And I was 16 at the time, and I was like, wow, musical theatre can make me feel this way. And I thought, that is so cool. And then from then I just thought, to look at all these like male musical theatre artists, and here I am.
Yeah, it's lovely how, I feel like people need to recognise how powerful musical theatre really is, though, because genuinely it can completely change your mood multiple times throughout a performance.
Multiple times. Happy,
it's so
sad,
engaging.
angry, just anything. And what
definitely.
I love about theatre is how you can go in with one opinion, but then when you step out the theatre, you just have a whole different world that you just
Absolutely.
didn't have it when before you came in. So I just find that really beautiful. And just like the simple 3 minute can inspire life. I just find it really beautiful.
Now, you're part of Wicked in the West End, which is incredible. How did that
Yes.
opportunity come about?
Well, it came through audition. Now, I got on audition twice. Once that was for the UK tour in 2023, That was one of the worst auditions I've ever done
Oof.
because
Oh no.
I just forgot the scene so many times to a point where the director was like, just have the script in hand, and I was like, wow, I didn't get this job, and I thought, wow, I'm never gonna perform in Wicked again. But then the audition came about again in 2024. I got the self-tape come through as an ensemble, and I gone through quite a few rounds, and then eventually they were like, "Oh, we want to see you for Bach and ensemble Bach." Um, but it's always been self-tapes. Even though I wanted to be in person, I was rehearsing for another show whilst I was auditioning for this. Um, and the producer and the creative teams, they were like, we can't, dismiss you because, we really need you in the room. And I
Mm.
understood, and the agent understood. And it came to a point where the creative team at Wicked was like, we really want to see you. Can you please come? And I made the decision to actually say no. I can't, come and see you guys because it's been a lot of hassle.
Mm.
I came so far, and I can't, sacrifice my rehearsal time, for this audition that I don't know if I'm going to get or not.
Yeah.
And then the agent and the agent's assistant, they understood and they were like, you know what, you came far. Let's audition for next year for 20th anniversary. After we sent that email, we had an email from casting director. Now he could have said, that's fine. But he sent an email saying, we really want to see Jojo. And we were like, oh, damn. This is a really big deal.
Mm.
So I
Mm.
was like, you know what? Let's make this work. And we actually realized that during that tech week, there was Tuesday morning free. And I was like, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And I was able to attend the movement call. Um, and then Jim Arnold, our casting director, after we do our movement call, they specifically came to me and was like, "Hi, Jojo, how are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm doing fine, thank you. We really want you to come to this Thursday because basically, when you attend this Tuesday movement call, you had to attend the compulsory Friday finals,
Mm.
and I couldn't attend it because it
Oh.
was 10 to 10 tech. So I was like, I can't make this work. Like, I'm really sorry." And Jim Arnold was like, I'm gonna have a chat with your agent and see what we can do. And I called my agent after the movement call saying, like, does that mean I'm not gonna get an audition? Or I was like, listen, we'll make this work. If we don't hear back us by the end of the week, consider it that you didn't get it. I was like, you know what? It's stressful, but it will have to be. Wednesday, nothing. Thursday, nothing. Friday, nothing.
Oh.
Oh.
And then it came to Saturday, where their office is closed. I suddenly get a call on Saturday, and I said, "Hi Jojo, how are you?" And I said, "I'm fine, thank you. Just to let you know that the team of Wicked wants to invite you personally to a Wednesday specific. They booked the room specifically for me
Oh, wow.
to audition for their show." And
That's so sweet
I
though.
was like, I can't mess this up, can I? And
No.
he was like, no, you can't. So I went in, did my song, did my scenes, did all of these things, 30 minutes, 3.5 weeks later, I get a call.
Well done.
It's crazy because I
Amazing.
think I never had this experience. And I've said this to
Mm.
everyone, and they were like, yeah, you're unique. And I was like, yeah, so it's crazy one.
What can I say? What can I say?
What can you
But the
say?
the thing is, like, it's insane how much they went through to keep you. So it really shows.
Mm.
Literally,
It shows
yes.
how dead set they were on actually wanting to have you. Like the director just knew that it had to be you. So,
They just knew it because Jim
mm,
Arnold's the person that he's, casted Wicked for God knows how many years. So he
mm,
knew that I guess was the one. And they really
mm-hmm,
believed in me, with all the credits that I got, with all the reels that I got. I think they just saw something in me, I guess. But
yeah,
it's still surreal to this day that I came through such a long
process.
process. Yeah. So yeah, here I am.
For anyone who might not know, can you explain what being in the ensemble and a cover role involves?
Yes, so ensemble. So basically, in a musical, there are leads, supporting, and there are ensemble roles. Ensemble typically consists of many people that Their roles tend to be to sing harmonies, to really blend in with the group. Um, they don't have much lines. They typically say it all together. But then I have what we call a featured ensemble. So I sometimes get to sing just one line here and there. And typically for those, yeah, ensembles are people that don't really carry the story forward like on their own. It just
Mm.
carries a story with everyone in it. And supporting leads are the people that really support the leads being Alphaba and Glinda and Fiero and Wiz and Marble, they're the supporting people.
Yeah.
And they really support the story, but they don't drive the story fully as what
Mm.
the ensembles do. And you said about covers. Now, covers are slightly scary because covers tend to be people in the ensemble that when the principals call off sick or they're on holiday, we get a call from the company managers saying that Jojo, you need to go on for this role. Now,
Oof.
because I am a second cover, I get a call when the principal, Bok, and first cover calls off. And we have a system in Wicked where I am not allowed to book a same holiday as the first and the principal. So
Mm.
then I had to wait for when one of them is on holiday and one of them is injured or ill, or both of them are ill and injured. So I'm not able to plan as some people are able to do
Oh.
because but for the first couples, they're able to be like, okay, yeah, principal's got the holidays on this day. I'm able to, go on for these dates. For the second cover, you don't get that. So it's
Oof.
very scary. There was one time where both the principal first cover were in, I was in as well, and mid-show, first cover bot calls off because of his injury. He's all fine now, and as you do between shows, you have a nap. And then after I had my nap, past the half, I get the call saying, Jojo, you had to be on because our principal has just called
Oh,
off. So I was like, this is a pleasant thing to be waking up from.
what a surprise.
It is a massive surprise, and I had to go on with just 30 minutes notice. And I had to pack
Wow.
all of my bags from the ensemble dressing
Wow.
room, going downstairs and do all of my makeup, do all the hats and costumes and all the shenanigans I had to go on. So yeah, anything can happen.
The stress. I
The
can't
stress,
imagine.
girl, the stress. It is crazy, but
Wow.
we're here. No one's died, so that's
No.
fine.
Yeah.
You've you've done an amazing job because
Oh, bless you.
I could never. That's like
But
that's
the thing is,
heroic.
that's the thing. Like, you think that you can't do it, but then you realize that it's really in your body.
When you're under that time limit, you can do anything.
You can do any if you like put your mind to it, put your heart to it,
Mm,
like you can do it. Honestly, you will be surprised as to the amount of things
mm.
that you can achieve.
So your second cover book, as you said, how does that
Mhm.
feel?
Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, going off a Bach has been great. There is that feeling of like you don't know when you're gonna be on because there are like second cover in the cast who hasn't been on yet at all. Because the principals and first covers, they keep going on, and the second covers are not needed. And for me, I've been privileged enough to go on for him for 13 times, which is
Wow.
considerably a lot more than some of the other
Yeah.
second covers. But going on for him is honestly so sweet. He gets his little feature here and there, and you can go off and, have a little break, and then coming in second act with this, totally different emotions of, being betrayed and, and coming in with witch hunters with all the like a silver makeup and, coming in with a Tin Man costume and just singing that. It honestly feels just great, and
Mm.
it does feel surreal.
What is the experience like on stage when you're playing Bach?
On stage when you're playing Bach, well, actually, when I was last playing Bach, and that was a few weeks ago now, I haven't been on for Bach for 4 months. So I was just like absolutely stressed and then being like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. But once you step on, you just know. And
Mm.
it's just in your body. It's very miraculous because my girlfriend came to, see the show and I just told her, I was like, I can't do it, I can't do it. But she was like, you can do it. It's fine. You know it. You've done it a few times.
Mm.
And then you just go on and you just do it. You just go from
Yeah.
beginning to the end, and then that time, because I haven't been on for 4 months, even the cast just forget on how I was, singing this few things. So when I sing that because you are so beautiful and just sing, I just hear like all these um cast around me who are doing all these dance but being like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing something right. And honestly, it it is a stressful in a good it's a good stress, I must say. But you get the adrenaline will pull you through and it feels great.
Yeah.
Bok is such a fun character in Wicked. Do you have a favourite moment or song involving him?
Involving him. I mean, his main songs really are, the Oz does listen, Nessa, oh Nessa. Um, that's always such a sweet moment. And I honestly really like Witch Hunters because sometimes when you're performers, like sometimes, well, most of the times you are happy, but sometimes, just stuff happens outside of Wicked. So whenever you really want to let out your anger, you're able to
Mm.
do that in Witch Hunters, and it honestly feels great sometimes. And even like, and then it's such an underrated song in Wicked. And
I agree.
even if you are like having a happy day, I'm able to just channel something and just keep it going. And it's genuinely an underrated number in the show. And I mean, with my ensemble, I just go, kill the wedge so loudly to a point where people are like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. But honestly, with the Bok scenes as well for that bit on the monologue, like it just feels great to just be living it at the top of the tower and just, speaking my monologue and speaking. It does feel great.
In my opinion, I feel like
Mhm.
theatre is really empowering
Mhm.
because especially because all of these people are coming to watch like obviously you and your
Mm.
character, and you wouldn't make it if you weren't there. So I think it's
Mm.
so it's so exciting because
Yeah.
it's so engaging, especially because you genuinely do give it your all. And I think that's what's
Mm.
so inspiring, and that's what makes people really enjoy theatre.
Oh, bless you. Well, I mean, we really do give it our all. Like
Mm.
performing 8 shows a week for a year is no joke, really, hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And part of the challenge is to really how to really sustain that 8 shows a week, with the correct emotion putting it in and really listening to your body. And, as I said, like, I've always thought about, inspiring people whenever I do have those doubts in the, industry. And then to think that, you know, I am empowering people is really like more than enough. And it
Mm.
makes me really want to, carry on performing for you guys and, giving you a glimmer of hope into this modern day
Mm.
society.
Mm.
What would you say a typical day for you is like at the theatre?
Well, a typical day, I come into the theatre. So our warm-ups for the evening show are 6 o'clock, and for the matinee is 1 o'clock. We had to come in. I tend to cycle from my place to the theatre to warm myself up. If it's really bad weather, it was very windy, I tend to take the tube, and that takes me around 25 minutes to get there, which is really nice. Um, and we tend to do a warm up for 20 minutes, 10-minute vocal, 10-minute physical. We given a parish notes, so we get given notice as to what's happening in the building, who is our company manager, are there any cut shows, are there any other things we need to run, like notes and stuff. And that tends to finish around 6:35, and I start to get ready when we hear the half. And then when we hear the quarter, I go upstairs and put on my pink curl and my wig prep. Um, Fun fact, I'm the only male presenting ensemble that has to wear a wig prep.
Oh.
Um,
Really?
yes, I am the only, yes. Well, male presenting ensemble. Yes, I am the only one. And yeah, so after the quarter, I put on my wig prep, and whenever we feel at five, I tend to go downstairs to change into my costumes and put on my wig. And then when we hear the beginner's call, I just go upstairs and perform and live the dream.
It seems pretty chill by how you're saying it, but like I bet it's quite I don't know how to describe it, like
Manic.
tight for time.
Yeah, it can be manic, especially when there's what we call a cut shows where a lot of ensemble people go off to a point where the what we call our DCs, our dance captains are there like we need to run this number, this number, this number, this number, so everyone feels safe. That can go like past the beginner's call sometimes to a
Mm.
point where like us getting dressed can, can get manic. And there are some times where the wigs for myself are not ready. So I'm there like, can I have a wig? And all the WAM people just running around just finding my
Oh
wigs.
no.
It can be manic, but when we go on stage, we just act as if nothing happened.
Yep. Well, they
But
don't know what's
that's
going on backstage.
they girl,
They
Yeah.
they
don't
don't
know.
know. They don't know, and they don't need to know.
No, no,
uh,
no.
no, no, no. But yeah, it is again adrenaline. Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
And what's your favourite part of being in a long-running show like Wicked?
Like Wicked. Hey, no joking. No, 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 no. I'm joking. I'm joking. Imagine. So I think one part that always struck to me because I've always said in this podcast of how I just love to inspire people,
Mm.
Mm.
and during Defying Gravity, the most famous musical theatre song ever written, close with not One Shot Day, One Day More from Les Mis. We go in, going downstage, and we just sing to Alphaba, and then we go up close, and then down, and we actually like lean towards downstage towards the audience, and I get to see like some of the audience member, um, and some of them are kids from aging up to 5 till 9 years old,
Mm.
and I just see them, and sometimes the faces that you see of how they are just in awe of what is
Like utter
happening.
Mm.
shock.
They're
Like
Oh
in
no.
utter
what?
shock, and you can
Yeah.
see from their eyes that they sparkle. Um, and to think that we are giving them a dream, and we're giving them some sort of inspiration, and to think that, some or most of our cast members have started from that audience seat.
Mm.
I have certainly started my journey from an audience seat where I just sat in the stalls and I saw Defying Gravity for the first time, and I was like, this is insane.
That's how passions start. So,
They really do.
hmm
And it can really start from that early age, as 5 or 9 years old, and to give them, again, like some sort of opinion, and it's just giving them a sort of sense of love, and
mm.
I really, because honestly, like when we come off stage, we just they're like, oh my God, those kids were so sweet, and we generally do, have these chats and be like, oh my God,
Mm.
we can see them applauding and whatnot. It's genuinely sweet, and it makes my day every time. And you can hear from the applause that it's one of the biggest applause that you will hear, throughout the whole show. I mean, I'm not surprised. It's Defying Gravity. It's the famous song in
Mm.
the whole world, and it's genuinely one of my favorite moments in the show.
Okay. On to
Yes,
the quick fire round.
the
Oh
Are
quick
you are
fire
you
no.
round.
ready? Are you
Let's
ready?
go then. Let's go
Let's
to
do
the
the
quick
quick fire
round.
round.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, there you go.
Favourite musical other than Wicked?
Spring Awakening.
Dream roll.
Valjean. No, Phantom and Phantom.
Pre-show ritual?
Pretty sure I don't have any. Intro ritual, yes.
Go to backstage snack.
I love Haribo's and I love bananas.
That's it. That's our quick
That's
fire
it.
round.
Whoa.
Now
Yes.
moving on to long answer questions. A lot of our
Yes.
listeners are young performers. What advice would you
Yes.
give to them?
What advice? Don't be afraid making mistakes.
Mm.
Don't
Mm.
be afraid, because if humans are meant to make mistakes, really,
Yeah.
and people just feel so embarrassed. And I actually heard this quote from my friend saying, um, embarrassment is a unexamined territory. Just explore it even more. And I was like, you know what?
Ooh, that eats.
I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. And I'm like, you know what? That's so true because like
Mm,
people were so afraid of being embarrassed and get themselves out there. I'm like,
mm,
no, you have to get yourself out there because that's
Mm.
where you actually learn. And
exactly.
that really stuck to me. And then just honestly, like believing in yourself and just telling yourself that, you can get there. And whatever people tell you, like, don't listen to them. Just,
Mm,
Mm.
you know, you had to be that person that just believes in yourself. The only person that should really believe in yourself, no matter what anyone else tells you that you can't do that, is yourself. You have to truly believe in yourself that you can do it. And, you
yeah.
know, anyone can really do it.
What's one thing that you wish you'd known starting out?
Starting out, well, starting out performing, I mean, like, again, making mistakes. I was one of those, like, shy kids that really was afraid of making mistakes. Um, but then it's really, like, getting yourself out there. And then I think, like, when it comes to, like, industry as well, people think that, being stuck in his own bubble is going to get them, you know, a good job or anything. But for me, it's really never been the case, for me, because I've always thought, okay, let's think of a way and let's think of a solution of how to, make this work. And it's always been to just explore what's on the other side, really. And,
Mm,
you know, that's always stuck to me. And I mean, always like as well to, because people really look down on the fact of working smart rather than hard. But I always say work hard and smart,
mm-hmm,
really,
Mm.
in this industry where, because if you are a footballer, you know, you might say you work hard and work on your whole body, but realistically, you should work more on your legs.
mm,
And that same applies with, your singing, your acting and your dancing. And I really respect people who are, working smart and hard at the same time. And it's something that, I should have taken up on board like much early on, but then I made that adjustment a little bit earlier during my third year. And that's why I was able to, keep on working and, being in a show such as Wicked. And yeah.
mm.
Mm. Well, just before we finish today, Jojo,
Yes.
did you perform at the Olivier Awards yesterday? I think I saw.
Yes, I
Ha-
did.
what was that like?
That was honestly surreal.
I
It must have
can't.
It
been
Oh my
amazing.
gosh, I just can't comprehend how. Oh, okay,
it
wait.
it was incredible experience. I mean, like, to get invited in Olivier Awards, and just, the whole Royal Albert Hall is so massive, isn't it?
Mm,
And
Mm.
and then you think the stage is, big, but I actually didn't find it as big, weirdly, and everyone else would agree. But what I realized is that this stage feels big. The stage feels small because they actually cut half the stage.
oh,
So then the half of that stage at the back is for the orchestra and for the backstage.
Ah.
So to think that if we actually use the whole space
mm.
of the Royal Albert
Mm.
Hall, that's what made me like
Jaw drop.
it made my jaw drop because we were there like, oh yeah, we can do this. But then we looked at the back and we were like, oh my God, this is not backstage, but this is like on stage. And it was surreal. And it's the fact that like the audience, you can see the front and you can see the side, and there are seats for the back of the theater as well. So it's the fact that, and then they don't use those seats, for the Olivier Awards. It's mostly
Mm.
for, the fronts. So it's just the fact of like, we're using only 50% of the theater. And
Oh wow.
but still, it was genuinely surreal.
Mm.
Like, yeah. And I just, again, like living the dream.
Mm.
So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been amazing chatting with you.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And if you haven't already, make sure to check out Wicked in the West End.
Yes, it's an amazing musical. And don't
Oh,
forget
thank
to
you.
follow Skipping Through Theatre on social media and wherever you get your podcasts.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to Skipping Through Theatre, proudly partnered with Use TV.